an OSHO talk. Watchfulness, awareness, alertness. Exploring higher states of consciousness by OSHO. Number 26 of the audiobook series, From Ignorance to Innocence.
How does one explore the higher states of consciousness?
There are not many ways. There is but one. The way of awareness. Man is almost unconscious. I say almost. There are moments, situations where he becomes conscious, but they are momentary. For example, suddenly your house is on fire. You will feel a flare up within you, a sense of alertness that was not there before. You may have been tired, you may not have slept for a few days, you may have been traveling, and you were hoping that as you reach your house, the first thing you are going to do is to fall asleep. But the house is on fire. All tiredness disappears. You forget the whole nightmare of the journey. And inside you find something new, which perhaps you will miss because the house is on fire. So you will become not alert of your alertness, but alert of the fire that is burning your house. So in ordinary life also there are moments when people touch a higher state of consciousness, but miss because that higher state comes as an emergency and they have to tackle first the emergency that is facing them. And that cannot be the circumstance where they should start exploring what is happening inside them. But if you can even remember as a memory some moments in your life when suddenly you were more aware than you are, it will be a great help to understand what I am going to say to you. I have told you that modern psychology has moved below the so-called human consciousness. And when people like Sigmund Freud found that just underneath your thin layer of consciousness there is another layer, it was a great discovery to him and to the West. And his whole life he devoted in exploring the underground, the basement of your consciousness. That's why he became interested in the analysis of dreams. Because when you are conscious, you can pretend, you can be a hypocrite, you can say something that you don't mean, you can do something that you never wanted to do, you can smile and inside you want to cry, weep. You can cry and weep and inside you are enjoying, you are rejoicing. So your consciousness has been so much polluted by the society. It is not reliable. This was one of the most significant contributions of Sigmund Freud, that your consciousness is not reliable. It's strange that he feels your unconsciousness is more reliable than your consciousness. Nothing can be a greater condemnation of whole human civilization, whole human history, of all the religions. What else can be a greater condemnation? That your consciousness is not reliable. Your society, your tradition, your religion, your convention have made it unreliable. In one of Khalil Gibran's story, the mother and his daughter both are sleepwalkers. The daughter one night walks in her sleep, goes into the garden, and starts saying nasty things about her mother. And just by accident, her mother also sleepwalks behind her and starts saying ugly things about her. But the cold wind outside suddenly wakes them both. And the daughter says, Mom, you are not having anything warm around you. You should not come out at this age. You make me so much worried. And the mother says, my beloved daughter, in this whole world there is nobody except you whom I can say mine. This much is the story, but it contains the whole discovery of Sigmund Freud. While they were asleep, they were saying really what they feel about each other. When they wake up, they are saying what they are supposed to say to each other. And they will not become aware of their two sides. And if there were only two sides, things would have been far more easier. There are many more sides. I have told you it will be good to be reminded. Consciousness is a very thin layer where we are existing. Below it is subconscious mind, that is half conscious, half unconscious. That's why you remember dreams only of the latter part of the night. You don't remember all the dreams of your whole night, because in 8 hours night sleep, for 6 hours you are dreaming. Now this is scientifically proved fact. Only here and there for few minutes you fall into deeper sleep where dreams are no more. The total is 2 hours, but the dream total is 6 hours. You don't remember in the morning. 6 hours dreams. Almost the length of 3 movies. At the most you remember some fragments, or sometimes a whole dream, but that dream is the last dream. When you were waking up, the subconscious mind has 2 sides. One connected with the unconscious, the bottom part. When you are deep asleep, dreams are moving at the bottom part of the subconscious. The conscious is very far away. But when you are in the morning waking up, you are coming closer to the conscious mind, then the top layer of the subconscious is dreaming. That's why your consciousness can hear little bits and pieces of dreaming, and in the morning you can remember something, but that is only the tail of the elephant. The whole elephant has disappeared. You have no notion about it. And of course the tail makes no sense because the elephant is not there. Hence the psychoanalyst is needed to find out the elephant. What kind of elephant it was, whether it was elephant or a camel or a cow or a horse, because you have only a tail. Perhaps not even the whole tail, few hairs of the tail. The whole function of psychoanalysis is to put those hairs together and to figure out whose tail this can be. And dig you from this corner and that corner and hit you from this point and that point. So something comes up which is there, but you are not aware. The psychologist almost makes the whole animal on the basis of the few hairs of the tail. That's why there are so many schools of psychoanalysis. It was bound to be so. Sigmund Freud wanted that psychoanalysis should remain one integrated movement. It was impossible, because the work of the psychoanalyst is more or less imagination. He has few things in his hand, but those things can lead to any conclusion. If you go to Sigmund Freud, then those same hairs will prove you sexually obsessed. That is his elephant. And once he had found the elephant, you will start looking according to his vision, and you will find explanations that perhaps he is right, and perhaps he is right. If you go to Adler, he has a different kind of imagination. Will to power. For Sigmund Freud, it is will to sex, will to reproduction. For Sigmund Freud, it is more a biological phenomenon than to Adler. To Adler, it is more a political phenomenon, will to power. The same hairs you take to Sigmund Freud, and he will manage to figure out and discover perversions of sex in you. And I am saying perhaps he is right. And I also want to say perhaps Adler is also right. If you go to Jung, then he will find through those same hairs some mythological phenomenon. It will not be biological, it will not be political, it will be mythological. And I want to say perhaps he is also right. All these three continuously quarrel, not knowing that man's mind has multi-aspects, that it is not exhausted by one explanation, that not only these three, there are more possibilities. Just few more Freuds, Jungs and Adlers are needed, who have some poetic imagination and some scientific way of explanation. Man's mind is multidimensional. And every dimension is connected. For example, sexuality is part of his will to power. It is not separate. Through sex also he is trying to be powerful, to be a creator, to give birth, to possess a woman or a man. And you can look at any couple, they are continuously in a power conflict. That who possesses whom? The wife is trying in every possible way, and she has some natural capacity which she uses. If you are not allowing her to be powerful than you, then she will deprive you of sex. And she knows that you cannot starve as far as sex is concerned. You are going to beg her. You are going to persuade her. You are going to bring chocolates and ice cream and beautiful clothes. She understands that this is all bribery. You also understand it, that this is trying to make a coexistence possible. But your effort is continuously also to dominate her. One of my friends was in love with a woman but was not ready to marry her. Now the woman was in trouble. She came to me and she told me that this is strange. My family is after me, that if he loves you, then he should marry you, otherwise you are passing the marriageable age. In India it is difficult then to find a young man of your age available. They will all be married. Then you will have to be married to somebody who is far older than you, perhaps once or twice married before, and fortunately his wife went on dying and he is still a bachelor. So they are after me that either he marries you or we choose somebody else. I said, let me ask him what is the problem. And he told me, I cannot hide it from you. I really love her. But when the question of marriage arises, the trouble is she is taller than me. I said, what kind of trouble is that? I don't see any trouble in it. If she is taller, you can stand up on a stool and kiss her. At the most, a stool is needed. I showed him a picture. Just that day it was in the newspaper, and the newspaper was lying there. Mountbatten, the last Viceroy of India, was a very tall man. And the first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, was only 5'5". So when he gave oath to Jawaharlal, it would have looked really bad. The Prime Minister looks very small and the Viceroy is really tall. He must have been 6.5 or even more. So they managed. In the picture I showed him that you see the management. Jawaharlal is standing on a step. The steps that lead to the throne. He is standing on a step and Mountbatten is standing on the floor. So they come almost equal in size. I see you. Can you see the trick? It is not much of a problem. You can have a folding stool with you, always at the back of your car, so wherever you need, you take your stool. He said, you are making a laughing stock of me. I am serious, because wherever I will go, she will be taller and I cannot continuously walk on the stool. And in the marriage ceremony, when I will be taking the 7 rounds around the sacred fire, I will be ahead of her, looking almost like her child, and she is so tall. I love her, but I cannot marry, because everybody will laugh. And in marriage ceremony in India, it is all the relatives and friends from far away gather. It is a gathering of thousands of people, and they were rich people. So everybody will come and everybody will see only one thing, the tallness of the wife. The love had to fail before the power instinct I said, what does it matter? You can tell that I'm not taller than my wife. But you can look around the whole world. You will find the husband always taller than the wife. How it has been managed? Why women have remained smaller than the men? It is simply a question of millions of years. That was the choice, that the man will always choose a smaller wife than him. Slowly, by the sheer selection, the taller women went out of existence. It was difficult for them to find a husband. They became prostitutes, they became part of the marketplace, available to all. They could not live a respectable life unless they happened to meet a taller man than them. But the man was always taller. Slowly, this is how you can enquire those people who crossbreed animals. After generations of this continuous crossbreeding, taller husband, smaller wife, taller husband, smaller wife. Or if the woman is so tall that she cannot find a husband, she becomes a prostitute. She goes out of the biological market. She is a dropout. She will not be creating children anymore, because a prostitute cannot afford children. So her line dies out. That branch no more grows further. It is not natural that women have to be smaller. It is the power, instinct, will to power. But the sexuality and the will to power are not two separate things, not so separate as Adler and Freud think. The people who become very much power oriented start losing interest in sex, because their whole energy moves into will to power. The people who are very deeply interested in exploring their sexuality cannot go into politics. They don't have any energy left. You can see it in actuality in many places. We don't allow soldiers to have their wives in the battlefield. The general can have, because the general remains behind. He is not fighting really. He is simply ordering people to fight. And he is perfectly defended. If any danger is there, he will be the first to get out of it. He is far behind the forces. He is allowed to have a wife because there is no problem. He is not going to fight. But the soldiers are not allowed. Why? For the simple reason that if their energy goes into sex, they don't feel like fighting. You can observe it into yourself. If you are deep in love with a woman, you don't feel like fighting with anybody. But if you cannot find any outlet for your sexual energy, then you will become a criminal. You will kill somebody. You may be constantly searching some excuse to fight. It is not just a coincidence that all the religions have preached their monks to remain celibate. Because once they are celibate, then their whole energy starts moving towards an imaginary god. The god becomes their sexual object. And you can see it in the songs of the devotees. They talk of God almost as if they are talking either of a beloved or of a lover. Meera, one of the most famous mystics in India, must have been studied by Sigmund Freud. If he had not studied her, he has to be born again. Because those two have to meet and come to an understanding. Freud never heard about Meera. Otherwise, he would have got all the great explanations that he needed and searched and looked and was unable to find. Meera talks of Krishna almost in sexual terms. She sleeps with the statue of Krishna. She calls Krishna my husband. And the words she uses are exactly those romantic words which lovers use for each other. The same is true about the Sufi mystics who think of God as beloved, a woman. And you have to see their description of the beauty of God, the youthfulness of God. When Fitzgerald, one of a very talented poet, translated Umar Khayyam, a Sufi mystic, he did something almost impossible. Because Umar Khayyam, in the original, does not seem to be so impressive as he becomes in the translation of Fitzgerald. And the reason is that Fitzgerald had no idea that Umar Khayyam is talking about God, not about a woman. But the Sufis called God Saki. Saki is the woman in the pub who pours wine to the customers, particularly in the Arabic and Persian nations. The Saki is chosen just like as you choose in the West Miss World, Miss Universe, Miss America. The Saki is chosen just like that, the most beautiful girl in the city will become the Saki. So the most beautiful women move into the profession of being a Saki. And Sufis call God Saki. Fitzgerald has no idea that Saki means to a Sufi God. He simply translated literally that Saki is a woman, and when Umar Khayyam says, Saki, fill my cup full, he thinks he is asking a woman to fill his cup full. And when Umar Khayyam says that even the wine is not so sweet as your kiss, he is thinking of a woman. Hence his poetry becomes more romantic, more colorful. One who understands the Sufi terminology will not find much in Umar Khayyam. You will be surprised that in Persia, Umar Khayyam is not known as a great poet. But in the whole world, Umar Khayyam is the Persia's most important poet. And this miracle has happened because of Fitzgerald. And you will not enjoy Umar Khayyam. He was a mathematician. The first mistake that he did, he was a mathematician. Now, mathematician writing poetry, you can understand it cannot be juicy. From where the mathematician can get the juice? Then, over and above that, he is a Sufi, a seeker of God. There is no place for any woman. In his life, he lived a celibate life. Fitzgerald never bothered about the man's life before he translated his poetry. He should have at least looked whether this man is capable of writing poetry about women. He was a celibate mathematician, a Sufi, but Sufis remaining celibate think of God as a woman, dream of God as a woman, the most beautiful woman, of course. There can be no comparison with God. So they pour all their sexuality on the image of God, the beloved. He is not a man. In Umar Khayyam's book, it is a illustrated book. Naturally, Fitzgerald saw the most beautiful pictures of women pouring wine. He thought that this is a woman, and he looked at the poetry. It talks about the woman. Sufis are very angry. Fitzgerald made Umar Khayyam world famous. Their real poets of Persia are unknown to the world. And this man was not thought to be a poet at all. Once you understand that this woman is not a real woman but God, looked through the eyes of a celibate Sufi, it is a hallucination. Religions understood it, that if you stop sexual energy moving into its natural way, then you can manage the man to see God, to meet Jesus, to talk to Krishna. Anything is possible. The sexual energy is a kind of drug, the most powerful drug that nature has invented. That's why when you fall in love with a woman, you start seeing in that woman things that nobody sees. It is your projection. It is your drug, your chemicals, your hormones, which are creating the hallucination around the woman. The woman is just an object, a screen on which you are projecting your picture. And once your sex is satisfied with the woman, you are going to be very disappointed. You will find that this is not the same woman. You had fallen in love with somebody else. This is not the woman. But you know that this is the woman. So there is some deception. This woman deceived you. You are being deceived by biology, not by this woman. This woman was also projecting on you. And once the honeymoon is over, the projection is over. Now she looks at you and finds just an ordinary man. Nothing is special about you. Everything was special before. The way you walked, the way you talked, everything had something unique. Now you are just an Oregonian. Nothing much. Great frustration on both the sides. Now you are standing face to face, seeing each other without projection. Hence the continuous fight. It is bound to be so. In India, where even today 90% or even more marriages are arranged marriages, this kind of frustration never happens. In an arranged marriage, you are not given the chance of hallucinating. From the very beginning, you are just standing on the earth, and there is no romance. You cannot even see the woman before you get married to her. The very cultured families now allow seeing the picture of the woman. Now a picture of the woman, and with all the photography tricks. And that too, if you ask, you are going against the heritage, the culture. You are not supposed to ask. And particularly the girl cannot even see the picture of the man she is going to be married. And even after marriage, they are not going to see each other in sunlight. They will meet each other in the darkness of the night. Of course, they remain to each other mysterious. The mystery lingers longer in India than anywhere else. In the day, they cannot talk to each other, because in India there are joint families. They cannot talk before children, because that is a bad example. They cannot talk before the elders, because that is disrespectful. And there are so many elders in the house, and there are so many dozens of children in the house. There is no possibility. You will be surprised that the father of a child cannot take the child in his hands before others. That is disrespectful. I was told by my father that I took you in my hands only when you were 5 years old. The grandfather can. That's why I became friendly with my grandfather. Naturally, he was acquainted to me and me to him from the very beginning. The father came after 5 years. He remained a stranger for 5 years. He never talked to me for 5 years. I have asked my mother. There was no possibility of talking or meeting or seeing. They did not see each other after their marriage for years. Children were born, but they had not seen each other, because they will meet only in the darkness of the night. And in India, in a joint family, there are sometimes 40 people, 50 people in the house. And those houses are just like Noah's Ark. For example, my grandfather used to have his horse tied with his cart in the night too. And I told him that the smell of the horse is so much that even if I want to meet you, your horse prevents me. Cows in the house, elders, children, everybody in the house. How Indians manage to make love is a mystery. How they manage to produce dozens of children is simply mystifying. It all happens in darkness without whispering a single word. What to say of loving chit-chat and foreplay and afterplay? There is no possibility. Only the play is enough. Before and after does not exist. And the play has to be quick so that nobody comes to know. I was staying with my grandfather in one of his friend's house. And when a very close guest is there, in India you don't allow him to sleep in a separate room. That is not hospitality. So my grandfather and I were sleeping in the same room where my grandfather's friend, his son's wife, they were sleeping. And what I learned, my grandfather was old, so once in a while he will cough. His friend was even older than him, so once in a while he will cough. And because of their coughing, my sleep was difficult. So once in a while I will wake up, and once in a while I will see the son of my grandfather's friend making love to the wife, then I will cough. And that was enough. That was enough. He will jump into his bed, and till I remained there, I did not allow him to make love. When the day we were leaving, he pulled me aside and he said, "You rascal." I said, "What? Why you are calling me rascal?" He said, "You cough exactly at the time you sleep or not. Those two old men, they cough, I know, but not exactly at the time." I am so happy that you are going, because for these 2 months I have not met my wife. Because the moment I will start moving towards her bed, and you will start coughing. And coughing is such a thing that when I will start, then those two old men will start. It is infectious. One person starts, then the other starts feeling a temptation to do. Stop the sexual energy of people then it will find some outlet. Religions learn the trick. Stop sexual energy, it moves, and give the movement towards God. The military generals found it very soon that stop the sexual energy and the man is ready to fight, to quarrel. He is just hankering to fight. In fact, Sigmund Freud's explanation for all the weapons is just sexual. He says when you throw a knife into somebody's body, that is just sexual penetration. A bullet is a sexual penetration from a far away distance. He is a little bit obsessed with sex. But there is some truth in it. Because sexually fulfilled people have not discovered weapons. There was no need. So all these explanations are about your dreams, because your dreams are truer than your waking life. In waking life, you don't beat your teacher, but in dream you can do. That's your real desire. If you were allowed or if you were powerful enough, you would have done that. But it is not possible, not practical. In dream, you are free to do it. It is a kind of substitute. So below the conscious is the subconscious, which is the field of your dreaming. Below the subconscious is the unconscious, which is the field of your dreamless sleep. When you are simply in a kind of coma, you reach to the same state as you were in your mother's womb. Hence the relaxation. Hence the feeling of rejuvenation. After a deep sleep, when you wake up, you are fresh, young, full of energy. If those 2 hours have been missed, then you may have tossed and turned and dreamed 1,001 things. But in the morning you will find yourself as tired as you had gone to bed, perhaps more tired. That coma is needed, because in that coma your mind stops functioning. And your body takes over. When you are conscious, it is mind over body. When you are unconscious, it is body over mind. And body has a wisdom, because body is far ancient. Mind is a very late development, a very newcomer, just amateurish. Hence, anything important nature has not left to mind. Everything important has been left to the body, because body will take care more proficiently, more professionally, more wisely, without any mistakes, errors. For example, breathing has not been left to the mind, otherwise sometimes you may forget. Particularly in sleep, what you will do? When the deep sleep will come, breathing will stop. No, breathing is not left to the mind. It is body function, because it is so essential for your life, and mind is so amateurish and so stupid, because it is just trying to wake up. It is not still awake. Nature has given every power to the body, all essential powers to the body. Your mind can be put aside and your body will go on functioning perfectly well. In fact, mind is always a hindrance in everything. He tries to overcome body, because mind is a power tripper. He wants to control everything. What these people in the name of yoga go on doing? They are trying to control their breathing. They are trying to control even their pulses. They are trying to control even their heartbeat. For what? What you gain out of it? I have seen people practicing for 40 years how to stop heartbeat. And certainly if you do that much practice, you can stop heartbeat for a time being. But what is the gain? You cannot see anything. I have seen these people. You don't see any aura, you don't see any fragrance, you don't see in their eyes that there has been any vision of reality. You don't see in their life any impact of the higher consciousness. But they have immense power over body. I have seen people lying down and a car passing over their body, and they will simply stop their breath and the car passes over. No harm. I have seen one man stopping the body just by his hands of a railway engine. And all that he was doing was stopping his breath. By stopping his breath, he was capable to stop the railway engine or any car. Strangely, as if he became a rock, so heavy that it was impossible for the car, 4 horsepower or 6 horsepower car, to push the man aside. With breathing disappearing, all his hollowness as if has disappeared. He has become a solid rock, and the earth and its gravitation is functioning perhaps 10 times more on the person than it functions on you. It is just like when you are in water, the gravitation functions less on you. That's why you can float on water. In water, you can take a big rock in your hands without any trouble. The same rock outside the water you cannot take up. The water cuts somehow the power of gravitation. The water has a quality of levitation, of taking things up. Levitation against gravitation. That's why you can take a bigger man's body in your hands in water. Just like a child, as if he is a child. Outside the water you cannot do the same. He is so heavy. Perhaps by stopping the breathing, the quality of air must be giving a great levitation. The person becomes so heavy, and the power of gravitation almost 8 times more, that he can manage. The wheels go on moving, but the car cannot move a single inch. But what is the point of it? I have asked these people. Yes, you have done a great job, but to me it seems idiotic. What is the point? How you have become more spiritual by this? You simply proved that you are 8 horsepower, the car is 6 horsepower. So you have now the 6 horses power in you. We still measure with horsepower because man takes long time to forget old language. Now horses are disappearing. Horse-drawn buggies are disappearing. There are cars, there are aeroplanes, there are trains, but still we measure their power through horse. 8 horsepower car. That means in your chariot 8 horses are there. So of course you are more than the car. But that is your goal, to become a powerful engine in a car. And you wasted 40 years in learning the trick. Yes, it influences people because everybody is a power tripper. It shows that what great power this man has. It makes you feel inferior. He becomes suddenly superior. Why so many millions of people go on seeing boxing matches? For what? Two fools beating each other for no reason at all. If there is any argument, sit down and settle it, negotiate. But there is no argument, no problem. The problem is only who is more powerful. That too can be decided in a more human way. Just toss a coin and be finished. But why beat each other and break each other's bones, and the noses are bleeding and eyes are red, and millions of people are clapping, enjoying somehow a certain identity. There are fans of Muhammad Ali and there are fans of other Alis. So those two fools are doing their stupidity, and a million fools are there to support and give them the idea that they are doing something important. I cannot see in a little bit more enlightened humanity things like boxing can exist. It simply looks so primitive, so ugly, so inhuman. But these millions of people, and these are not the only people, millions more will be sitting before their televisions. It seems the whole humanity is somehow after power. So whoever shows some power of any kind, power of money, power of body, power of politics, position, status, anything. Just Sila has brought 2 days before to me that after Indira Gandhi's assassination, his son Rajiv is fighting the election to become the Prime Minister. He has chosen people very cleverly. Many of the film stars he has chosen as his candidates. Poor Vinod missed. If he had been in India, he would have been in the Prime Minister's cabinet next month. His rival in the film world, Amitabh Bachchan, these two were the topmost actors of Indian film world. And you will be surprised that India produces more films than Hollywood. Hollywood is number 2. India is number 1 as far as film production is concerned. These two persons, Amitabh and Vinod, were the top 2. He has chosen Amitabh as one of his, and Amitabh is going to be in his cabinet absolutely certainly, and he will win because film actors have a certain power. A glamour, as if they are superhuman. He has chosen old descendants of royal families. One is a very strange fellow, but he will be chosen. Mysore was one of the richest estates in India, because Mysore's jungles are jungles of sandalwood. That is the costliest wood in the whole world. And all the jungles were private property of the Maharaja of Mysore. And Mysore has the greatest population of elephants. So Mysore's Maharaja has the biggest tusks of elephants in his palace. Unique, because for 36 generations they have been kings. Now this descendant, now the estate is no more there, but he has his private property, a palace worth $50 million or more dollars, a vast palace made of all Italian marble. His throne must be unaccountable, because it has so many diamonds, so many sapphires, so many rubies, emeralds, because Mysore has many mines. So all the best stones found in those mines, first the right is of the king. Just the gold is near about $50 million worth, the gold of the throne. And all these diamonds and rubies and sapphires and emeralds, there is no way to count how much they will be. But that kind of throne is just one of its kind. There is no other. This young man weighs 350 pounds. He never goes out of the palace. He speaks in a nasal tone, almost inaudible. He has never spoken in public in his whole life. because what he can speak, it is almost inaudible what he says. Perhaps only few servants who are continuously with him understand him. And all that he does is, he has an imported dog. His name is Kinky. He goes on playing with Kinky. Now he has been chosen a candidate by Rajiv. He will win the election. Because in Mysore, who can win against him? In Mysore, the royal family is thought to be descendants of gods. And 36 uninterrupted generations of royal blood, and not a small quantity, 350 pounds. Just, there is no need for him to make a public speech. He cannot. He may not even go out of his palace, but he will win. And he has been chosen just because he has a status and people worship him. So it is impossible, anybody cannot stand. And he has money, so he will give money to the election campaign as much as you want. People are not conscious of what they are doing. Now the people who are going to vote this man, will you call them human beings? Perhaps Kinky is far more intelligent than the man who goes on playing with Kinky. He is an utter idiot. He has not done anything else in his life. But just to belong to a royal family is enough. And he has money. Money is power. Perhaps he may become a cabinet minister. The unconscious mind is when you are fast asleep with no dreams. Up to the unconscious Freud had reached just by analyzing dreams. If you are on the right track and you analyze a dream rightly, the miracle is, once the dream is analyzed completely, that means you become aware of its reason, why it happens, what it is, of what it constitutes of. Once you become aware of a dream, its total structure, root and all, it disappears. To summarize, to be aware of a dream is the death of the dream. And after few years of psychoanalysis, when all your dreams slowly disappear, then Freud became aware there is still another depth, but he died before he could penetrate the other depth. But he had found it, discovered it, unconscious. Jung tried to go as deep into the unconscious as possible. It is easier in hypnosis to reach to the unconscious of any person. Very easy. Hence, in the future, hypnosis is going to become part and parcel of every psychology. In India, it has always been. Because 3 years of psychoanalysis is a wastage of time. Within 3 minutes, you can be hypnotized, and all your dreaming process can be put aside, and direct entry into the unconscious. Because Jung was interested in hypnosis, Freud condemned him as unscientific. It is not right. Hypnosis is a scientific method of digging deep into you. And when Jung tried to go deep into the unconscious, he was surprised to find that underneath the unconscious there is still another layer. Collective unconscious. The unconscious of whole humanity. Everybody has it. And sometimes from that collective unconscious you get ideas. But because they come from so far away from your conscious that you think that they are coming from somewhere outside. When Jesus hears the voice of God, it is not God speaking, it is the collective unconscious. But it is so far away that poor Jesus can be forgiven. He simply is mistaken, and he had no idea that there are depths within depths, depths behind depths. The unconscious is mythological. This collective unconscious. Hence Jung became interested in mythology to discover, just as Freud became interested in dreams to discover mythologies are dreams dreamt by the whole humanity in thousands of years. But those mythologies carry some idea, some significance. For example, the Indian mythology, that life for the first time appeared as a fish. The first incarnation of God is Matsyavatar, incarnation as fish. A strange mythology. How they figured it out? Out of this vast world of animals, why they fell upon the fish? some indication from their collective unconscious. Now science says that perhaps life was born first in the ocean. It comes very close to the fish. And the child in the beginning, in the mother's womb, looks like a fish. He moves from there and passes through all the stages that man has passed into millions of years. There is a point where he looks like a monkey. Jung's discovery of mythology and its connection with the collective unconscious is of immense importance. But he stopped there, because he was, just as Sigmund Freud was himself obsessed with sex, that anything you bring to him, I say anything, and I mean anything, and he will immediately manage that it is sexual. Whatever, it does not matter. He was capable of managing that it is sexual. His whole mind was focused on one point, but perhaps that's the only way in a small life what a man can do. If he can work out only one idea to its totality, then he needs to be obsessed. Otherwise it is difficult. Life is so vast. If you go on jumping all around on everything, then it is difficult for you to move into one direction to the very end. Hence, all scientists, all philosophers, all thinkers are obsessed with one particular idea, and then they try to fit everything into that idea. That's where they go wrong. If they are a little more alert, they will see that life is vast. Their idea is meaningful, but meaningful only to a certain aspect. Jung was very much afraid of death. He was death obsessed. Just as Sigmund Freud was sex obsessed, Jung was death obsessed. And both obsessions are not very much different. Sex is the beginning of life and death is the end. Sex is the A and death is the Z. It is one alphabet, connected. It is not different, but distant. So distant that neither Freud nor Jung could see that they both are concerned with one thing, but the poles are so far apart that they are unable to join them. He was very much afraid of death. And as he came closer to another layer behind the collective unconscious, he backed out. He tried many times to approach the idea of death. He went to India because India has been thinking about every possible aspect of life for thousands of years. Of course, about death, India has thought much than anybody else. But he avoided the man who could have been of some help. He was asking people who were educated in the West, professors in the universities, who had Western degrees, doctors who had Western degrees, because he had a fixed idea that East and West can never meet. The idea was old. It was given by an English poet, Rudyard Kipling. That East and West can never meet. West is West, East is East, and the twin can never meet. Somewhere in his mind that idea remained his whole life, and he was continuously insisting on his disciples that West has to discover its own methods. It should not use Eastern methods because they can prove dangerous. They are not our heritage. Now, a strange situation and a strange argument. A man who discovers the collective unconscious still believes in East and West. Then there are two collective unconscious, Eastern collective unconscious and Western collective unconscious. He never became aware of this simple fact that if you talk about collective unconscious, then East is no more East and West is no more West. And if you think they cannot meet, you can come and see here in Rajneeshpuram, they are meeting. They have met. Just few days before, one man from South Africa declared a new conflict. He said the real conflict is not between East and West, it is between North and South. That was never thought before. A real discovery, but it has a point in it. There is a conflict. Just like East and West, which has become famous and well known. But South and North are also in conflict, which has not become so well known. But then there will be 4 collective unconsciouses. And it is going to be very difficult. But he was not aware. One thing he was certain, that Eastern methods are not to be used. So he avoided the only alive man in India, Ramana Maharishi, who was able to take him to the lowest bottom, which Buddha called cosmic unconscious. But that is almost a death. It is a death because you are no more there. The cosmos is. You are no more there. The seeker disappears. He has found what he was seeking, but he is no more there. That's a quantum leap. These subconscious, unconscious, collective unconscious, cosmic unconscious, these 4 layers are under your conscious. Above are also 4 layers. The question is how to reach the higher states of consciousness. The method is a very strange one, but there is only one way. You have to go down first. You have to enter the cosmic unconscious. Unless you disappear into the cosmic unconscious, you cannot enter the superconscious. The first level above conscious. What actually happens as you enter the cosmic unconscious, your subconscious, your unconscious, your collective unconscious all disappear. Just like small rivers falling in the ocean. A vast ocean of cosmic darkness. It is a death. And unless you born again, you will not enter the kingdom of God. Jesus must have heard that statement somewhere in India by a Buddhist monk, because it has no source in Jewish religion. Its only source can be a Buddhist source, because that's what Buddha was teaching. That you dive deep into the cosmic unconscious, and as you enter into it, all is darkness. You are lost completely. But wait, don't be in a hurry and don't back out. Don't run back, because where you will go? You will go back again to the same routine world in which you had lived. Don't run. Wait. Just wait a moment. And the darkness, as you wait, starts becoming less and less dark. It is almost as if you are coming from the outside in the hot sun and enter in the house and you suddenly see darkness, because your eyes are focused for the light outside. The sunlight is so bright that your pupils shrink. They cannot bear that much light going in, so they become small, very small. And then suddenly you enter your house. It takes a little time for your eyes to adjust to the new situation. The sun is no more there. Your pupils start becoming bigger. When they become bigger, then the house has more light. That's how thieves who come into your house in the night when everything is dark, you yourself in your own house cannot move, may stumble with this desk, with that table, with this chair. A thief who has never been in your house, who knows nothing about the house, enters in darkness and without stumbling on anything, exactly finds the place where you are keeping all your treasure. It needs a training. It is an art. Of course, it is a crime. That is another aspect. I am not concerned with that. But it is an art. The famous Zen story is a very great master who was also a master thief. Was getting old. His son asked him that before you die, please teach me your art of stealing. He said, I was just waiting for you to ask, because we never impose. And art is something that you should have a feel for it. If you are ready, I am ready. Today is the beginning of your teaching. Tonight you come with me. The old man took the young man. The young man is trembling. His heart is throbbing. He is looking in every side but the father is moving as if he is going for a morning walk. At ease. He cut a hole in the wall, and the sun is perspiring, and it is a cold winter night, and the father is doing his work so silently. And so artfully. The son is amazed. The father goes in, calls the son in. They move inside the house. The father has master key. He opens the doors. They reach to the innermost chamber of the palace. The father opens a cupboard, a walking cupboard, and tells the son to get in. Son is trembling, just trembling. He gets in and he asks what I am supposed to do. He said, you simply get in. You are not supposed to do anything. You simply get in, and then whatsoever happens, happens. He got into it. The father locked the door and ran out, leaving the son inside the cupboard. And while he was leaving the house, he shouted, "Thief! Thief!" So the whole house woke up. All the servants were running here and there and with torches searching here. And they found the hole in the wall. Certainly somebody has come in. A maid servant, watching closely on the floor, found some steps, marks, went exactly near the wardrobe. The son is aware. He cannot even breathe. He knows now that somebody is there with a torch, light is coming in, and soon they will open it, and I am caught, and this old man. In what unfortunate moment I asked him to teach me the art, and is this a way of teaching? He finished me in the first lesson. But suddenly, and that is the God's voice, he heard somebody inside in him saying, "Make the sound of scratching." As if a rat is inside scratching or eating. He could not believe who is speaking inside. He had never heard such a thing. Make a scratching noise like a rat. And he made the scratching noise, and the woman opened the door. Certainly there is a rat inside. She opened the door, and he came out. She was holding just a candle in her hand. He blew the candle out and ran away. When he was running out, people followed. He could not figure it out. Who said to him that blow the candle out? He had heard the voice, blow the candle out and run away. It was not his thinking, because he has heard it. It was coming from somewhere. And now, in the dark night, he is running and people are following him, and they are coming closer and closer, and they are shouting that he is there, catch him. They are seeing him. He comes near a well, and the voice inside him says, "Take a rock and throw in the well." So he takes a rock. There is no time to question why and who are you and what purpose it will serve. These are questions which you ask when you are comfortably seated in a classroom, conveniently. There is no hurry for the answer. Neither you mean that you need really the answer. But in such a situation, when he is being just caught, the voice says, he follows. He throws a rock into the well and runs away. Certainly, the rock falling in the well makes a big noise, and all people who were following him stop near the well, and they think that the man has jumped into the well. So now some arrangement has to be made, more light has to be brought, somebody has to go in and find out who is this man, whether he is alive or dead. Now their whole mind is diverted. He reaches his home. really angry, almost ready to kill the father. And the father is sound asleep, covered with his blanket. It was a cold night. He pulls his blanket and he says, "Is this the way of teaching your own son?" He said, "Are you back? That's enough. You have learned the art. Now go to sleep. We will discuss about it in the morning." But he said, "You should ask me how." He said, "That does not matter. You are back. Now about the how, we will discuss in the morning, and I know how." Because the same voice that has been speaking in you has been speaking in me my whole life. That's why I was the master thief. It was not a working of a brain. It was not a working of a mind. It was from my very depths. I have followed only the deepest in me. And I have never been gone wrong. You are back, that simply means you heard it. And that's the whole secret of the art. There is no other lesson. First lesson is the last lesson. If you were not back, it meant the student was not able to survive the first lesson. Finished. He was not capable. You have to take a jump. First it will be dark, very dark. Rest in that darkness. Darkness has a beauty of its own. You have known the beauty of light and the beauty of flowers and trees and men and women. That is all beauty in light, through light. It is all light reflected. Different colors, different faces, different flowers, but it is all world of light. You have not known the silence, the depth, the unboundedness of darkness. It also has its own beauty, totally different. It is the beauty of death. And once you have allowed it to happen, once you relax in it, you say, okay, if it is death, then let it be death. But I am not going back. Once you relax in this darkness of the cosmic unconscious, slowly it starts becoming lighter. And the first glimpse of light is the beginning of superconscious. When it becomes more lighter, that you can see the tremendous emptiness, then it is the super conscious. When it becomes so much a light that it becomes unbearable, again you may feel like escaping. It is collective conscious. It is not only your conscious, It is all human beings' whole history, its consciousness in totality, condensed. Hence, it is too bright. Just as darkness makes you afraid, too much brightness also makes you blind and afraid. Don't be afraid. There is nothing to be afraid. It is your nature. There is nothing to be afraid. It is your being. If you allow this tremendous intensity of light, of collective conscious, you enter into the cosmic conscious. Cosmic consciousness is neither dark nor light. If you can find just the middle point between light and darkness, very soothing, warm from the side of light, cool from the side of darkness. It is the meeting, the ultimate meeting of the polar opposites. And this cosmic consciousness is what I call enlightenment. In darkness, you were lost. But the fear, the trembling, the death surrounding you kept something of you is still there. A very subtle ego which you cannot catch hold of. You feel you are lost, but there you are still, because you are afraid. If you are not there, who is afraid? The darkness is so much that you are focused on darkness and you are not in your focus at all. In the cosmic consciousness, you are really lost. There is no fear. There is no way going back or going anywhere. Hence I call this the arrival. From where you had never departed, in fact. It was always there above you, hanging above you. For millions of lives, just waiting. But to reach it, first you will have to go deep down to the very roots. Friedrich Nietzsche again, because this man I find tremendously insightful. On the whole, he is a mess. But in fragments, he has such penetrating insight, which is rarely available anywhere else. he says, before you can reach heaven, you have to reach to hell. Unless you have fathomed the hell completely, there is no way to heaven. Looks very absurd. And he used to write in maxims. He never wrote essays explaining anything. That was not his way. Insights never come in essays, in theses. They never come for PhD degrees, D.Litt degrees. No. For a PhD degree, you have to sit in a library and do a clerical job. Just collecting from here and there. One can simply take a scissor, and if he can cut from this book and that book and this journal and that journal, and just go on collecting them in a file, sooner or later he will be a PhD. There is not much more into it. Men like Nietzsche only write maxims. One day suddenly he will write one maxim, and then for months he will not write. This is the meaning what he says. Now Jesus cannot understand it. He says, if you want to avoid hell, come follow me. I will take you to heaven. That's the only way to avoid hell. Nietzsche is saying, if you avoid hell, heaven is already avoided. Because heaven is a second step. You have missed the first step. In another passage, a similar passage, he says, before you can reach to the top of a tree and you can understand the flowers blossoming there, you will have to go deep to the roots, because the secret lies there. And deeper the roots go, higher the tree goes. So higher your longing for understanding, for cosmic consciousness, because that is the ultimate lotus, the lotus paradise, then you will have to go to the deepest roots in the darkest underground. And the way is only one. Call it meditation, call it awareness, call it watchfulness. It all comes to the same, that you become more alert, first about your conscious mind, what goes on in your conscious mind, and it is a beautiful experience. It is really hilarious. A great panorama. In my childhood, I used to see, in my town there was no movie talkies there, no cinema hall. Now there is But in my childhood there was not. The only thing that was available was once in a while a wandering man will come with a big box. I don't know what it is called. A small window in it. He opens the window, you just put your hand aside, and he goes on moving a handle, and a film inside moves. And he goes on telling the story what is happening. Everything else I have forgotten. One thing I cannot forget for certain reason. The reason I know, because it was in all the ones, all those boxes that came through my village, I had seen every, because just 1 paisa was the fee. The show was also not long, just 5 minutes. But every box, different films, but one film, one picture was always there. The naked washer woman of Bombay. I don't know why it used to be in everyone. A very fat naked woman, naked washer woman of Bombay. That used to be always. Perhaps that was a great attraction, or people were fan about that naked washer woman. And she was really ugly. And why from Bombay? In all the if you start looking, just whenever you have time, just sit silently and look what is passing in your mind. There is no need to judge, because if you judge, the mind immediately changes its scenes according to you. The mind is very sensitive, touchy. If it feels that you are judging, then it starts showing things that are good. Then it won't show you the naked washer woman of Bombay. That picture will miss. So don't judge. Then that picture is bound to come. You don't judge. You don't make any condemnation. You don't make any appreciation. You be indifferent. You just sit silently looking at things, whatsoever is happening. Absurd things will be happening. A horse becomes a man. Now you need not ask why. There is no need to ask. You simply see. Anything that is happening, you have only to be a seer. And that's the strategy that helps slowly for the whole scenery from the conscious mind to disappear. And when the conscious mind disappears from the screen, the subconscious starts emerging. Subconscious is more colorful, technicolor. The conscious mind is just black and white, old style. But the subconscious is very colorful, much more meaningful, much more truthful. But remember not to judge. Otherwise, it will slip down and you will be back into the conscious. So two things, no judgment, just simple alertness. Soon you will find these pictures also disappearing. Then the unconscious appears, which has very strange things to say to you. Very mysterious. No need to be afraid. They are voices from the past, of your past lives and of other people's past lives. They carry pictures of your past life and other people's past life. Now you are moving into a denser forest of a tremendous magnitude. Don't become afraid. Voices are very strong. And it is not only voices. The unconscious remembers not only the voices, not only the pictures, it remembers all the experiences of all your senses. You will smell things that you have never smelled. But sometime in past life, somewhere, you must have smelled. That smell is still there. You may hear music that is not known to you. You may hear languages which you are absolutely unaware. You may feel taste of strange foods. All the five senses will supply you experiences of many, many lives. You have simply to remain a seer. No judgment. Then these start disappearing. And when collective unconscious opens, then animals and trees and birds all are available to you. You are not separate from them. Stories like Saint Francis can be right, but there is no miracle in it. This man is perhaps the most important man in the whole Christian history.